Level 1. Bedroom Printer Hustler. You clear laundry from the cheap folding table and brace the shaking printer. Before work, you peel a failed PLA nest from the print bed. You level the bed with a crumpled receipt strip under the nozzle. On the bedroom floor, you answer keychain messages on a cracked phone screen. You check the blue glow as the machine finishes a clean overnight print. Under the bed, you stack filament tubs inside a plastic storage bin. You trim stringing from a cosplay badge with nail clippers. On the cracked screen, a red chat bubble shows an angry color buyer's complaint. You print shipping labels on the inkjet after midnight. In the dented hatchback, you load paid orders into the trunk. You smooth a bracket edge for the broken drawer with a square of sandpaper. Beside coffee rings and dust, you fill a spiral notebook with costs and orders. You drop a padded mailer into the blue mailbox after work.
At the shared bedroom wall, your roommate complains about the printer's whining. You change slicer settings with the laptop trackpad for a stronger tab. Across the table, you tape thank you cards onto low-cost novelty prints. You count wrinkled dollar bills from weekend pickups on the mattress. During the next batch, the heated nozzle drags burnt plastic across the surface. You grip the unplugged power cord when sudden silence fills the room. At the door, the disappointed customer accepts your half-filled envelope. You place the melted keychain pile beside the single surviving keychain. With a hex key, you scrape carbon from the tiny throat. You feed a fresh filament strand into the machine before sunrise. In your pocket, rubber-banded cash totals $700 per month after groceries. You pin a one-day replacement parts flyer to the hardware store's cork bulletin board. Level 2. Local Repair Plug. You measure a snapped appliance clip with digital calipers at the bench. Under bright shop lights, labeled filament racks stand beside printers that your queue keeps busy. You hang scrapers, pliers, nozzles, and Allen keys on pegboard hooks. In the customer's kitchen, you hold the broken cabinet hinge while the homeowner demands dinner delivery. You strap a crate of repair jobs into the older SUV. At the sorting tray, you separate dishwasher clips, RC arms, and vacuum adapters. You choose stronger PETG after flexing a test strip. In the foam drying block, painted parts dry on skewers you planted earlier. You install a printed knob that brings the commercial slicer back to service in the dark restaurant kitchen. At the garage bay, the mechanic's oil-stained glove takes your sensor bracket. You adjust the infill preview grid beside the customer to explain strength. Across the bench, the hobbyist argues over layer lines while you show the drone mount. You hang material samples from a sample keyring at the bench. Before the shop owner arrives, you sweep the garage with a push broom. You deposit $2,000 per month at the bank with a completed deposit slip. For a hotter enclosure test, you load nylon from the spool. You hear the owner warn about equipment shutdowns beside the steel vise. After the complaint spreads online, you hold the cracked printed gear. You call the customer from the garage driveway before rumor hardens. On your phone, accusations fill the local business group post. You print a sliced cross-section part to explain the material failure. Face-to-face, the cracked cover in your hand proves the material mismatch you admit. You write material limits onto every laminated quote sheet. On the shelf, a broken pump impeller takes priority over novelty trinkets because you put it there. You carry the sample parts box into the industrial strip. Level 3. Storefront Prototype Guy. You unlock the narrow storefront with a storefront key. Above the door, you mount the branded sign before the morning rush. You arrange sample prints inside the glass display case before opening. With the CAD mouse, you rebuild a broken latch from scratch. You face the student's backpack while refusing overnight work for nothing. In the back room, your scheduled jobs keep printer racks running behind the front window. You place an acrylic price stand beside gears, brackets, housings, and figurines. Under a desk lamp, you scan the broken motorcycle trim piece. You label pickup shelves for startups, students, mechanics, and designers. By closing, you set a finished prototype under lights beside the napkin sketch. You hold the greasy housing while the mechanic demands an aluminum feel. On the front door, your palm presses the crooked vinyl hours decal flat. You sweep support scraps into the dustpan between consultations. In CAD, you split the model into sections with alignment pins. You park the vinyl-lettered van outside the storefront. Across the counter, finished prototypes ride on the black pickup tray you carry. You compare the revised sketch while the founder demands free revisions. On the wall calendar, your marker blocks pickups and consultation hours.
You press a brass threaded insert into the repeat-use prototype. Inside a foam-lined box, you pack architectural pieces for pickup. You accept the lab assistant's purchase order printout at the counter. After constant jingling, you tape the doorbell quieter against the frame. You read the monthly receipt showing $6,000 per month in sales. Under daylight, the color swatch fan in your hand matches the enclosure. You start the print queue from the clipboard before dawn. On the wall, you frame the newspaper clipping calling you the town's prototype guy. You watch the landlord finger a ring of keys at the window. Before stable cash flow, you open the rent increase letter. You slam the metal shutter halfway down.
When sidewalk customers keep waiting, you reopen the shutter. You calculate which jobs cover rent and mistakes. From the counter, you clear low-profit novelty prints. You hold the broken toy wheel while the walk-in complains. At the counter, your hands replace hobby flyers with business service cards. You prepare a tolerance sample kit for companies. On the business map, your marker circles nearby offices and workshops. You pitch repeat work beside the designer's aluminum laptop. With the van dashboard GPS guiding you, you drive toward higher-paying business clients. Level 4. Small Business Service Bureau. You roll up the corrugated bay door on the larger unit. Beside the resin printer row, you stand among professional FDM machines. You hang embroidered uniform shirts for yourself and the technician. Before production, you attach ducting to the silver ventilation line. You hold the dental guide tray while the dentist demands smoother samples.
At the counter, you quote jobs, while the technician trims supports with flush cutters. You compare exposure test tiles under a magnifier before approval. Along the wall, identical print beds carry startup parts you scheduled to run together. You load bulk filament spools onto the metal spool rack. In your hands, miniature railing strips tremble while the architect rejects rush fees. You check the purple UV cure chamber from behind the shield. Inside the van, organized part bins fill the shelving unit you open. You scan the assembly in the workshop with reflective scan dots. At the packaging bench, your scale reading confirms each labeled batch. You point at the launch date poster while the founder changes timing. Along the floor, resin bottle crates form the chemical pantry you arranged. You train the technician with a sanding sponge near sharp corners. At pickup, the courier tablet records your signature while nearby printers buzz under motor power. You test the jig against the mechanic's go-no-go pin. Across the desk, the accountant says, "The studio did $15,000 per month." You place the nitrile glove box beneath the resin safety sign. In Slicer, you rotate the warped model diagonally on the plate. You watch the technician scrub the cloudy wash tub late in the evening. Under the stained apron, the technician calls the workload impossible. You find the abandoned badge lanyard on unfinished parts during launch week. Beside the empty stool, you laugh once and move boxes. You answer the ringing counterbell between finishing station jobs. Across every surface, overflowing order trays wait while you sort them. You rewrite finishing steps onto a laminated checklist. After the rep warns about costs, you take the staffing agency card. You mark receiving, printing, curing, inspection, and packing with floor tape arrows. On the brochure, your pen circles production machines for the next jump.
Level 5. Production Print Farm Owner. You walk the long printer aisle while synchronized machines build one product under scheduled control. Between racks, staff move plates as you swap build surfaces. You tag inspection bins with barcode labels. A forklift operator lowers pallets of filament and resin drums onto the floor. You balance the production run across the nozzle size chart. Across the table, the product drop countdown card faces you while the brand owner demands delivery. You scan finished parts at shipping with the handheld barcode scanner. On the job queue whiteboard, you update batch numbers and deadlines. You check tolerances with the gauge set before approving boxes. In a branded polo, you walk the production floor. You release stacked cartons to couriers at the taped lane. During monthly repeat questions, the buyer watches you open the sample case. You inspect the production office view from the mezzanine window. After snapping the test coupon, you reject the batch. You reload machines in waves with the empty spool cart. At the freight scale, the driver refuses overweight pickup while you face the delay. You check resin drums and warning labels behind spill mats. Across the desk, the banker opens his leather folder and says, "The farm clears $35,000 per month." You audit first articles beside the golden sample part. Through the dark shift, electric status lights blink across printers your team left running. You find the warped production tray across multiple machines. At the dented carton, your hand grabs the reprint schedule. You read the supplier lot sticker while the rep denies bad material. With the log binder, you trace failures by labels and temperatures. You hang the quarantine rack sign before accepting another big client. Level 6, Industrial Additive Shop. You issue visitor badges while engineers question shop tolerances. Behind glass, controlled schedules keep industrial printers running inside the restricted printer room. You study the zone map sign dividing every department. With the tripod scanner, you capture the automotive bracket. You supervise a large format printer as it builds a full-scale panel while engineers measure. At quality, you arrange inspection tools in the foam drawer. You review the marked report while the engineer rejects close enough. Across the room, you route parts on a rolling cart. You adjust wall thickness with the torque driver beside the housing. At loading, the newer cargo van backs in while the driver follows your signal. You set sample trays across the professional conference table. Across the lender's desk, the financing sheet forces you to answer payback questions. You compare cycle times with a stopwatch before approval. Under ventilation hoods, your team dyes black parts while you oversee the tanks. You mark visitor boundaries along the yellow safety line. With the blueprint tube in hand, you hear the architect demand lobby scale.
You plan giant section joints with a dovetail sample. Before shipment, your micrometer check verifies measurements. You hear the accountant tap the tablet and say, "The shop hit $100,000 per month." At night, lit facility windows reveal staff-run machines in every zone. You badge staff through the green keypad lock. After hearing 6-week lead times, you study the vendor catalog. You machine a temporary aluminum fixture plate at the mill. Inside the vapor smoothing chamber, you process client housings under the safety protocol. You empty visitor badges into the return basket at reception. Beside the dinner reservation text, you sign the shipment paperwork. You face your partner's question about work dinners over the takeout bag. Beside a flashing family calendar alert, the alarm call makes you answer. You approve the jig fixture after crushing the test fixture. During your partner's accusation, the untouched dinner container sits where you left it.
You sit alone on the loading dock edge outside. On the concrete, the shop phone buzzes until you stare at it. You answer the client caller ID about certified production next quarter. With samples spread around you, the traceability checklist takes over the table. You tag material storage by lot number instead of color. Inside the polished room, engineers wait as you approach the proposal. You replace walk-in forms with a compliance binder row. While the consultant warns about audits, you hold the consultant's red pen. You badge into the restricted room toward contracts and certifications. Level 7, Specialized Manufacturing Contractor. You walk the inspection aisle during regulated part briefings. At the access gate, badge readers trigger motors that open the security doors for staff. You check sealed material bins marked with lots and certifications. Inside the dental buyer binder, you prepare resin traceability answers. You follow a part traveler packet through inspection sign-offs. At the trade show, you stand beside a room-sized printer. You wear the airport lanyard against a tailored jacket. During controlled access questions, the subcontractor briefcase stays between you and the buyer. You meet leads at the shift handoff board. Outside, drivers keep twin-branded vans idling before separate routes. You review the inspection fixture for repeatable measurement. Behind panels, polymer printers hum under programmed motor power and warning stickers. You hold the robot gripper sample while the founder pushes speed. Between facilities, the rental car key fob presses into your grip. You ask the engineer about porosity limits before promising anything. Behind the partner's window, heat and lasers make metal powder glow inside the printer. You open the foam sample case in the conference room. Across the table, the procurement nameplate frames recurring volume pricing pressure. You send staff toward overnight runs with the sales suitcase. Beside the lender, a clipboard note reads, "The contractor makes $250,000 per month." You check first article data beside the plaque and quality manager. Behind glass, you view staff desks outside controlled production. You compare the dispute drawing while the engineer blames sales. Beside machines, your meeting pulls sales, engineering, and production leads together. You collect security log printouts after the client audit. Overnight, chamber lights reveal rows of client parts building under validated programs. You open the competitor bid packet calling your shop too small. At the speakerphone, the client repeats the warning. You push back the conference chair and invite the client floorside. Across the floor, active machines, benches, storage, and vans show the scale you point out. You hold the client's folded glasses during the regional image objection. Beside the finished part, the quality lead scans traceability from resin lot forward.
You study the outdated local shop logo on the conference wall. Inside the office, department leads wait with expansion maps. You inspect route staging carts at loading for 3 routes. Inside the standard process binder, scalable procedures replace improvisation. You face the branding mock-up board while the consultant demands manufacturing presence. Across the table, exterior sign renderings cover the old marketing you slide aside. You sign the rebrand proof as drivers take vans out under the old name. Level 8. Regional Additive Manufacturing CEO. You step from the SUV with a jacket and carry-on. From above, a drone camera shows headquarters, docks, vans, and printers your teams keep active. You walk the glass balcony above the production floor. During the morning review, the site manager argues while you study the staffing chart. You check the premium watch before the factory visit. At dispatch, drivers steer branded vans from the departure line toward different cities. You compare location output with managers between machines. Around the sample table, you brief account teams before client calls. You face the hard hat buyer challenging faster production than tooling. During the factory tour, a conveyor line dwarfs the sample case in your hand. You tag the carry-on with the company logo in the airport lounge. At the hotel, you enter ballroom doors for enterprise buyer negotiations. You review the lease packet while lessors push aggressive terms. Beside printers, your explanation ties utilization to the wall display. You watch staff load crates into shipping at the scan station. Across the trade show aisle, giant printers and national buyers surround your booth. You inspect booth jacket logos beneath the regional brand sign. After the control joke, the rival CEO badge enters your view at the aisle. You demand missed job causes from managers at dispatch. At the celebration, the buyer raises champagne and says, "The company produces $700,000 per month." You cut the satellite ribbon, while technicians warm printers behind you. Across the floor, department flow arrows guide staff from CAD to packing. You point at the overbooked board while production blames sales. At the huddle, the operations manager holds the tablet while you watch for proof. You trace colored routes across the regional route map. During a floor walk, mismatched inspection labels catch your eye. You manage calls from the SUV console between facilities. At receiving, you inspect the late crate while the client questions tracking. You open the hidden delay folder on the operations manager. Across the floor, every site lead hears your speaker call. You read the termination letter threatening the 6-figure monthly account. One day, 3 boarding passes carry you across sites and airports. You install audit checkpoint signs at each site. On the operations door, your hand removes the manager's nameplate slot. You stand before the multi-city wall as managers report below screens. From the production side, the engineer warns against slower management layers. You send department heads onto the floor with tablets instead of guesses. At each station, you test every green status tile for proof. You apply audit stickers to crates, printers, benches, and doors. Beside the expansion boarding pass, your signature confirms authority before departure. Level 9. Additive Manufacturing Empire Owner. You enter headquarters through the revolving door as production continues under staff control. On the directory plaque, your flagship address sits beneath your name. You update the branch wall with partners and service lines. Through clean windows, rows of synchronized printers glow under scheduled production. You face the national buyer badge during cross-region supply questions. During the floor walk, your marker routes capacity on the map. You pass the SUV beside a line of logistics vehicles. At sunrise, drivers send branded vans from the loading dock in waves. You inspect certificates on the calibration wall outside inspection rooms. Across the conference table, the bank officer's portfolio brings expansion pressure. You board first class for the national manufacturer contract. In the private lounge, your samples rest beside the chair where you place them. You place printed parts beside machined versus printed samples in the boardroom. From the airplane window, factory roofs and highways slide beneath the wing. You fill the legal pad with windows, clauses, and penalties. In the boardroom, buyers compare your speed against traditional suppliers. You tour the unfinished printer bay under new power lines. At the contract table, the buyer signs and says, "The company runs $2 million per month." You study the ventilation blueprint during the 6-week delay warning. Above empty rows for future industrial printers, electricians run conduit and cable. You reroute overflow to 2 satellites on the assignment board. Behind glass, your inspection follows the cooling metal build plate. You open the competitor dossier, calling your empire overstretched. Inside a partner facility, staff guide you past metal machines, powder rooms, and robotic carts. You hear the buyer repeat pressure over the expansion folder. With one hand on the chairback, you request a flagship visit. You inspect multi-state freight labels beside finished part pallets. At night, teams keep resin, polymer, and finishing lines moving across the production floor. You watch the banker loosen his tie amid the movement. At the dock, workers pack crates while drivers stage routes. You frame expansion trade badges near the lobby. From above, a drone route links headquarters, vans, satellite roofs, and highways. You walk scanning, design, production, inspection, and logistics with division heads. On the operations wall, branch output, routes, and enterprise accounts fill the screens. You study the original desktop printer inside its glass case. Through the turnstile, crews change shifts while operators keep machines running. You walk the founder path as every department moves. Across the floor, printers glow, metal parts cool, workers pack crates, and drivers depart. A drone-wide view rises over the entire manufacturing empire alive.